You're on mute. You're on mute, Coach Jeff.
All right, 7:59. We are streaming into YouTube. We're recording on Zoom, and we're going live on Facebook. Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Boy RD with another installment of Get a Clue in 52. Now that I'm using my background, I don't know how to get all the book in there, but anyway, it is what it is. We're rocking and rolling. This is tip number 44 overall. All right, hello to Charlie and Patty, Teenage Mutant Ninja Patty. I love it. And
morning, Coach Jeff. Hi, Patty.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of activity. People still may knock on the door. We're trick-or-treating, and you know, Brody has kids over, so there's noise. So let's get through this as best we can. I'm going to go ahead and read tip number 44 overall. It's tip number 2 in the accountability section. By now, you should know that there's 5 sections in the book, as indicated by these larger light bulbs. We started the year in the communication section, 10 tips there. Then we went to the networking. So did we do networking then marketing? I don't know, marketing then networking. Marketing has 12 tips. That gave me 52 for the year. So I can, you know, basically read a tip per week. That's been working for us for almost 2 years now. It's tip number 44 this year, tip number 2 in the accountability section, but it's tip number what? 96 in a row that I've been doing. So we had the first edition of the book, slightly different order. I made some edits than the second edition of the book, and now we're 44 tips out of 52. So 8 more after this week. And then we'll see if there's going to be a third edition of Get a Clue in 52. And if so, is it going to be the same tips, just done a different way? Or will it be 5 new categories and 52 brand new tips? Stick with us to find out. All right. So tip number 1 in the accountability section. The accountability section, by the way, starts on page 101 with my fun little Kluby snack. Nothing is insurmountable when I'm holding you or hugging you accountable. In fact, hugging is better. Some people go for the jugular. I go for the hugular. We covered that a couple weeks ago when I told you my OJ story, funny as that was, weird as that was. But then last week, we started the accountability section with tip number 1, which is to look within. Like, don't even think about doing accountability until you start within. You know, it's always an inside job. Start within. You have to look within. That's tip number 1. And that brings us to tip number 2 tonight. Now, if it weren't Halloween, I might want to spend a lot of time on tonight's tip, because tonight's tip actually serves as a preview within the preview, or a preview, like a second type of preview. The second edition of the book, let me put it up here on the camera. No, right, where is it? Right. Well, there it is. There's a little circle on the cover right there. Right there. You can see it right there. Anyway, it says, plus, enjoy a preview of Jeff's upcoming book, The Integrity Game. So after you're done with all 52 tips, you get to this little preview chapter. It's like the introduction to the business parable that I'm writing, The Integrity Game. And that's a preview of the book in and of itself. It's like the style of writing that you'll experience, the narrative, the story, the business parable. Tonight serves as a different preview of the integrity game, because tonight's tip is to understand integrity. Hello, Dawn, by the way, watching on the Facebook side. Hello to you. It's Jeff Boy RD on Halloween, coming to you with tip number 2 from the accountability section, tip number 44 overall. So I'm excited to share this with you guys, because I'll say this: in the business parable that I'm writing, there is a protagonist. There's characters, scenes, setting, storyline, you know, interactions with the characters, development of the story. But the story is being told in a way that can take a character through 10 specific phases or points on that particular character's journey. And those 10 points are noted here in this tip that I wrote back in 2019, when it was, I guess, technically before I started to come up with the brand Integrity Game. And that's the brand that I'm working on right now. I've working on Get a Clue for 15 years. Moving forward, it's all about the integrity game. And I can't wait to talk about that more and more and more and more and more. But before I read tonight's tip, imagine a character in some sort of scene, in some sort of setting with other characters, and that gets basically taken on a journey through the 10 points that I'm about to summarize for you guys. And it's something that I'm really excited about, really proud of, really, really itching to get the book complete and have it ready for distribution by January 1st. of 2022. So cross your fingers that I'm able to get that done. For now, let's go ahead and read tip number 2 from accountability. Tip number 44 overall, understand integrity, word for word. Here we go. I declare that the subject of all accountability is integrity, that anything anyone can ever be held accountable to will always be some sort of integration between one thing and another. Most of the time, it is our word with our behavior. Many people are ready to add values, morals, or ethics into that equation. Still, a lot of people have half a loaf understanding when it comes to integrity. When I'm training independent coaches and managers or directors of organizations, I'm always teaching people to focus on the word integration when it comes to an understanding of integrity, where one thing comes together with another thing. In developing my coaching and leadership training program, I developed a 10-point model of integrity. When I present it in a public speaking situation like a business retreat, a coach's training, or a keynote, I always begin by asking the audience, how many of you understand what integrity is? And somebody helps me establish what I covered above, the coming together of one thing with another. Then I'll ask, how many of you believe you have great integrity? Everyone in the room raises their hand. Then I politely request that they not shoot the messenger as I present the Klubeck 12-step model of integrity, which now is really just called the integrity game. Meaning, here are the 10 things I help my clients discover and integrate so that the largest percentage of our daily activities feed these 10 points in question form. Meaning with purpose. Have you discovered or decided on what you believe to be a meaning of life? And have you discovered or decided what you believe to be your life's purpose? Are they integrated? Is there a clear connection between your meaning of life and the meaning of your life? Next, purpose with gifts. Trick-or-treaters are here. Trick-or-treaters are here. Marianne's going to handle that. Purpose with gifts. Do you believe, as I do, that all human beings are gifted? And have you decided or discovered what your gifts are? Is there integration, a clear relationship between your life's purpose and the gifts you've been given? Are you applying your gifts for hobby, pastime, playtime, or mission service purpose? Next, gifts with potential. Have you discovered or decided what your potential is based on the gifts you've been given? Have you attempted to calculate what measurable results you can achieve, how fast you could get, how many people you can teach, how many books you can sell, how many mouths you can feed, how many kids you can put through school, how many businesses you can start, how high up in the company you can get? Have you declared what you are capable of achieving in the long term based on your gifts? Is there a relationship between your gifts and your potential? You bet there is. Next, potential with goals. First of all, do you set goals? Chances are the answer is no, because the Ivy League studies all conclude that only about 3% of our population sets goals. Secondly, if you did set goals, would those goals be based on what you see other people achieving, or would your goals be integrated with your potential based on your gifts versus what the Kardashians are doing, for example? Trick-or-treaters are here, the dogs are barking, stay with me. So many people are trying to achieve what other people expect of them, or what they see others doing, instead of looking within at the factors above and putting themselves in a position to be held accountable to integrity. But we're not done. Next, goals with strategy/tactics. Do you have strategies to choose from that will help you achieve your goals? Are the strategies you are considering integrated with the goals you want to achieve? If your goal is to increase sales and your strategy is to pray, I'm not sure there's ideal integration there. But if your strategy was to knock on doors and make phone calls, I think there would be more integration there. Moreover, since there is more than one way to get a job done, are you considering strategies that are difficult or natural for someone, integrated with your gifts? Next, strategies, tactics with word and commitment. Have you selected a strategy and have broken it down into the tactics, observable actions you need to take to execute the strategy? And are you committed to taking that action? To whom, if anyone, have you shared that commitment, given your word? What is your relationship with your word? Most people know that integrity has something to do with what you say you will do. So what percentage of the things you say you will do you actually do? And what percentage of the things you say you will do are integrated with a strategy, or what you would call strategic? Legendary basketball coach John Wooden cautioned us not to mistake activity with achievement. Most people are really good at staying busy, but what percentage of our day-to-day activities are things we said we would do or strategic or advancing us towards our goals, which we probably even haven't set or haven't set, or our potential, which we probably haven't determined, or our purpose, which we probably are too busy to discover or too scared to acknowledge, because as soon as we do, we can be held accountable. I digress. Still not done. Next, word and commitment with action. I kind of covered this at the end of the last point. Are you making commitments to take strategic action towards SMART goals? More on SMART, SMAART, in tip number 3 next week. And are you actually taking that action? Are you putting off or delaying the difficult things that you know will make the difference? If we all did 100 things, every day, how many of those 100 would be things we committed to doing? Things we said to ourselves or to another that we would do? Most people offer a number less than 50% when I ask this question at my events. So 35% of the things we do are things we said we would do. But how many of the things we say we will do are tactics that execute a proven strategy for a specific goal? Now, imagine me asking an audience to raise your hand if you feel you have great integrity now. Remember, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm not done. Next, action with growth. Are you taking enough action to make mistakes? I ask because there's no such thing as a mistake, just learning and growth wrapped in a little discomfort. Charlie, that's a Klu snack, right? I mean, there's several in here, but that's one. In fact, the only mistake to be afraid of is the one you don't learn from. Another Klu snack. Most people are afraid of mistakes and failure that they never take most people are so afraid of mistakes and failure that they never take action towards their goals, as I've outlined above. So I ask, are the actions you are taking integrated with your personal, professional, financial, and spiritual growth? Next, growth with achievements. Straightforwardly, what are your achievements? Do you have any at all? Are they positive achievements or negative achievements? Getting locked up in jail 8 times in 8 years, for example, is an achievement, but not one that is integrated with growth. What are your achievements, and are they integrated, related with the growth you experienced because you know what you want and have committed to getting it? And finally, as I take a deep breath, achievements with contributions. In our last point of integration, we integrate, come full circle with the first point, meaning and purpose, when asking, what are you doing with your achievements? Who are you sharing them with? Who are you giving to? Whose life are you touching with contribution? Are you doing something that helps your family, that helps your community, that helps humanity? Is there integration between what you are achieving and who you are serving, who you are contributing to? Are the contributions you are making to this world integrated with what you believe to be the meaning of life and your specific life's purpose? Do you know your gifts, potential, goals, ideal strategies, capacity to commit, power of action, joy of growing pain, the responsibility of achievement, and the pure gift of contribution? Kerplunk, mic drop. Seriously, most people are comfortable accusing other people of not having integrity when we all have room to improve. Hopefully, that's easier to see and admit when we look at the 10-point model above. Consider Get a Klu's 2 complimentary coaching sessions. Apply at www.getaklu.net to work with a coach on helping you discover and declare your purpose, gifts, potential, and goals. All right, there it is. Woo! That was a big one. That's a lot there. That's like a lot. Hello, Gino, who's out there, former Speech 103 student of mine. It's good to see you. Anybody that's on the Facebook side, we're doing another installment of Get a Klu in 52. Jeff Boy RD coming to you on Halloween night, feeling all right. And the trick-or-treaters are still coming. The dogs are still barking. The kids are still playing. Let me go ahead and say hello. Let me get off this microphone. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, you guys. Charlie, Patty, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. I want to get back to Halloween. But let me acknowledge your presence and honor you for coming on board by asking you to speak. If you have anything to say or share, let me get my microphone and my audio going. And let me turn this around. Thank you so much for coming on board. As always, can you guys hear me right now? Yeah. Do you guys have anything to share? I won't know if I can hear you until
we talk.
Until you talk.
Did you hear that?
Patty? Okay, yeah, I need to adjust this. Hang on. Hang on a second. Let me just set this here. Yes. And testing 1, 2, 3. Yes. And let's see. Can I hear you guys now, Patty?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. Let me just turn the volume up a little bit and turn yours up too if you can. Hi guys, do you have anything that you want to say or ask or discuss tonight on Get a Clue in 52?
It's such a big chapter.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love it. And I hear integrity all the time now. And I'm not sure if it's because, I'm thinking of the integrity game or whether it's just been out there all along and I'm only just noticing it. But I think it's really a powerful message for you to give, and I'm glad you're dedicating yourself to it.
Well, thank you for that, Patty. Without going too far down the rabbit's hole, it resonates for me. It's been brewing. I mean, my thoughts on it are evolved even from, just 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago when I wrote the book. I used slightly different terms and I've added to it along the way and refined it and delivered it as a keynote several times. I've done workshops online and in person on it. I'm working on the book, and it's something I feel very, very, very strong about. It's a 10-point model of integrity. And it's all, the whole game is previewed in this chapter. We want to include the word integration in our understanding. We want to focus on what, people just think, when I ask, how many of you believe you have integrity? People think I'm asking, how many of you think you're a good person? And everybody's going to raise their hand. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, how many of you are integrating? Like every minute of the day, that your behavior is integrated with the 10-point model. Most of us, including myself, have to say no if we look at it seriously. But our ego doesn't want us to admit that we don't have integrity because we associate integrity with like honesty or ethical or being a good person. But when we focus on integration, if I say, well, what is your behavior right now integrated with? Right? If you say, what you're doing right now, this second, this behavior is integrated with what? Above and below. What strategy, what word, what did you commit to that your behavior is integrated with? Or what are you learning that your current behavior is integrated with? Or who are you serving? Or what goal are you achieving? What is the behavior integrated with? And so we're in the accountability section, right? So accountability is a matter of integrity. Integrity is a matter of accountability. They're symbiotic, right? So I could go on and on about it. I see the world through the lenses of integrity now too. I've been, I see it everywhere, every day of my life, ever since I realized that it's a better brand than Get a Clue, right? And the integrity game is a better brand than Get a Clue. Oh, well, my live just ended. Oh, well, I'll stay with you on Zoom. Let me just post this.
You're on YouTube, according to my.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, but I was doing a Facebook Live also, and it's done now. I hit something.
Well, I hand the mic over to Charlie.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all fine and dandy. Charlie, what's happening? What do you got? You have a question or a comment, something quick that I can help you with, or anything that you want to share back? I'll stay with you on the Zoom side. We're done on Facebook, and but we're still going on YouTube and on Zoom.
Hi, Coach Jeff. So Chef Jeff. Today, you Chef Jeff.
It's Jeff Boyardee. Jeff Boyardee. That it's
and hey, what's his name? Mario. I forgot the names of the turtles. It's been so long, a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
This is Donatello.
Donatello, there's it. The pizza, which one was the pizza one? The chef can cook you a pizza today.
They did.
Yeah, no, Coach Jeff. This is actually one of the most contested conversations when it comes to.
Sorry, Charlie. This is instead of Chef Boyardee, I'm Jeff Boyardee.
Okay.
Can you see my screen? So this is a famous brand of like canned food.
Got you.
It's yum delicious. But anyway, if you think I'm scary, you should have some real chef. Anyway, I digress. I'll stop sharing now. Go ahead, Charlie. Back to the integrity game.
Yeah. So as I says, in any discussion that comes around integrity, and I love this tip, is how do you understand integrity? How does it integrate with everything you do? And I'm very happy, that I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to be here with you guys today, with us having this crazy load shedding over this past week. So, I was actually pretty terrified that I'm going to miss today's session. We've done this one last year as well, and since doing it and like following you and listening to your teachings, it's gotten me to gravitate more to a better understanding of integrity. And the takeaway is, even now discussing it, there's a whole lot of other things that have come up that even like what you are doing right now. What are my goals? What do I want to see happen? Is it in community, in society, in passing on knowledge and teaching and so forth? So how is it aligning with me being here right now and learning? How's it integrating with a vision that I have into educating others? And how does that integrate? How does me being here now at 5 o'clock in the morning, how does it integrate with that vision of mine? And it's again, the gears are going 400 again.
Well,
yeah.
Let me say, Charlie, even in the first edition of the book, I was reading word for word, so I didn't stop at
it
any
is
of,
word for word, just as is, Coach Jeff. So you don't need to.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, when I was reading word for word out of the book, I didn't stop. Right, there's 10 points. Right, so when you get to let me see if you can see this right here. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 10 points that I'm explaining now as I'm reading word for word. I didn't stop, but if we just stop at one, Charlie, and I'm going to say this with you, right? If you just look at meeting with purpose, right? Actually, if you look at all of them, all of these, all the tips of the game, all 10 points on the model, and I can get rid of this background if it's confusing. Choose virtual background. Let's go none. How about that? All right, welcome back to my home office, everybody. So when you look, right, this is daunting. It can be, but Charlie, let me give you a piece of homework.
Yes, Coach.
Starting with meaning and purpose, right? I could tell you, I could look at the first version and tell you what page it's on.
Okay, we didn't have page numbers on it, but I've got it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, anyway. Yeah. So, right, it starts right here with, meeting with purpose on your version. Anyway, so starting with meeting with purpose, right? This is what it looks like on version number 2. Starting here, Charlie, from here all the way to Kerplunk.
Got you.
I want you to count how many questions there are. Don't do it now, but show up next week. Show up next week, and let's see, count how many questions do I ask? In those 10 tips, in the paragraphs that I use to articulate these tips, how many questions? So maybe you can say how many questions per tip and how many questions total. Now, why am I focused on questions? We've said over and over in other tips in this book how important and powerful questions are. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, why am I saying it now? To feed back to what you're sharing. You say, oh, this is important. And as you follow me, and we went over this last year and we're doing it again, and everything that's in between makes it more powerful now, and the wheels are spinning and on, right? Yeah. Okay. The reason that I want you to go through and just every time you read a question, just make a tick mark. One, read a question, tick mark, right? So it's going to look like something like this, right? Hang on.
Got you. I got you.
It's going to look something like this, right?
Got you.
So you're reading just to count, which drops your ego defense for reading in order to answer. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
These questions should put you on the defensive. They should get your wheels spinning. They're intimidating.
Yes.
Nobody asks you to answer these questions on a day-to-day basis. Okay.
Yes.
So step number one, just get used to the questions. Have your mind look for all of the questions and do a tick just so you can count the total number. Then
Yeah.
challenge yourself to answer them.
Got
Answer
you.
these. That's how you play the game, is you answer these questions. Until I actually create the
Got
real
it
board
now.
game. I'm going to create the real board game and the real app. You know, can you imagine, Patty? There's going to be 3 categories of cards. There's going to be engagement cards, motivation cards, and accountability cards. And you cruise through a board, and you collect that, and your cards have to like match up. Like you got to,
That'd be really fun.
right? And it's like, you know, who can actually put a wonderful life together, right? Who can integrate, 3 engagements cards? Can you come up with a purpose, gifts, and potential that all integrate? Then can you come up with goals, strategies, and commitments that integrate? And can you come up with actions, learning, and knowledge accumulation? So I'm working on the game part, but right now, until there's more sophistication, because I got a long way to go. It's going to take a long time to develop a world-changing brand, right? For now, playing the game, playing the integrity game is answering these questions that are in tip number 2. Right? And you can play the game alone, but I recommend you play with a coach. You can play the game
Absolutely.
alone, but I recommend you play in my group mentoring. You can play the game alone, but I recommend you play at one of my keynotes. You can play the game alone, but I recommend you play during a peer advisory group of 4 to 12 people that I facilitate. You can play the game alone with my info products that you can find on the Kluberry, but I recommend you play in a group at a retreat or a training. Or do you understand? But no matter what, play the integrity game. Charlie, here's a Kluby snack. Tell me if you can finish my sentence. Are you ready? If you're not growing, you are
dying.
Yeah. Well, guess what Kluby says? If you are not integrating, you are disintegrating.
I love it. I love it. Not integrating. Okay, got you. So,
All right.
you know what,
Yep.
Coach Jeff?
What?
Now that I read this chapter even last year, and every time the topic comes up, I come back to it and read over it. And, getting asked these, as you had just said, is digging to find the answers to the questions.
Let me go a step further. Instead of the answers, which that's part of what's
a
scary.
answer, or
Any
a-
answers.
Exactly.
Even if
Finding any answers.
my answers might change next week.
Mm-hmm.
But if I spend one day without answers, I'm out of integrity today.
Uh-huh.
Every minute that you don't have answers to these questions, you're out of integrity. That's the argument. That's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So any answers to these questions. If I declare that my purpose this week, what was I doing last year at this time or 2 months ago? My purpose was, right, to fulfill my spiritual choice and saying goodbye to my parents. And my parents chose me, I chose my parents. So my only purpose in life was to achieve Zen with the spiritual relationship that I have with my parents. Why did I choose them? Why did they choose me now that they're passing? How much material responsibility do I have? How much spiritual responsibility do I have? Everything in my life was second to that purpose. Once they passed, laid them to rest, right? Which was a year ago, 4 days ago. We had the ceremony for both of them on Brody's birthday, his 8th birthday. I buried my parents. Now ask me, my purpose is different now. My purpose is to promote the global playing of the integrity game. That's my purpose now. Everything else is second to that, right? Well, I would argue, my argument is being as close to my kids as I could possibly be before they move out. That's on my mind big time these days. But the point in saying that is, it's okay if your purpose changes. It's okay if you develop a gift you didn't have before. It's okay if your vision shifts. and if
Yeah.
the mission shifts, but it's not okay not to have one.
Exactly.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay if it changes. It's okay if it shifts. But every day that you don't have answers to these 10 questions, I'd say 10 categories of questions, because in each of those categories, there's more than one question, right?
Yeah.
So every day that we don't have answers to those questions is a day that we're not in as much integrity as we could be. The trick is,
you know,
oh, sorry,
it
go ahead.
also brings
Joey.
it also brings a thought again where I'm integrating the setting of the goals and how are you managing or measuring your goals. What did I do today? Okay, the goal could be a 3-month goal, but what were the actions that you took?
Charlie, you're breaking up a little bit.
To get to that goal today. I was saying, how are you measuring that goal? Did you actually get to achieve and align or integrate your actions for yesterday? And what have you set to do today? Is it going to integrate in every? So,
well, yeah. It's a breakdown. We're going to talk more about smart goal setting next week. We're going to break down goal setting in particular, but just for a visual, right? Just to create a visual on it. This is different. Here's a 10-point model, right? Purpose, gifts, potential, goals, right? So when I say, are you integrated? The goals, whatever you're setting goals, anybody can set any goal. But when I say integration, is it integrated with your potential? Have you declared what is the largest thing you could achieve in your life? Or have you looked out as far in your life as you could possibly look and have a vision for what you see, and then know what mission that you're on in order to feel like you're on your way to that vision? And then objectives are a 1-year version of that. And then that leads us to goals. So are the goals a 3-month breakdown of your annual objectives towards a big mission? And then when you set goals, are the strategies that you're selecting proven to help somebody achieve a goal like that? So goals, are they set on an island out there on their own, or is there integration of goal setting with potential and with strategy selection? So it's like, that's why I use the shoelaces, right? All 10 of these things are bound by the laces. Now in my model,
I look at this picture probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. So the point is, these are the 10 points that I just got done reading. All the questions that you're going to count on the pages are questions in each of these 10 categories. And I'm telling you, you play the game, you play the integrity game by yourself. It's a 1-player game if you're trying to do this on your own. It's a 2-player game if you do it with a coach. It's a 4 to 12-player game if you do it in a peer advisory. It could be, dozens of people if you do it in a group mentoring or a training or a retreat or what have you. There's a lot of different ways to play. But if you don't have answers to all 10 of these questions, you're playing some other game, not the integrity game. As far as I'm concerned, this is what I'm trying to put out there into the world.
Very, very clear, very clear. And thank you very much for sharing your breakdown of it. I usually go into these word blanks, but there's a term I'm looking for. Your methodology, right? And this is why I enjoy. I'll do whatever it takes to be here at Get a Klu in 52.
Well, this is the most value that I offer among my entire, menu of options, coming on free every night and being able to talk to, not every night, once a week. It's the most inexpensive thing on my menu.
I would actually love, it would have been great to have more people so that we can integrate more. The past couple of weeks have been so much fun, and hearing what different people, what are they think about because that encourages also looking at things from a different perspective, not really as how you looked at it or what your perception was, and getting different insights as well. So the more people, I would actually, whoever's watching this, it would be great to be coming on live with us to have this kind of robust interaction, especially in this
Well,
section.
yeah, I agree with you. I will say this, Charlie. Robust interaction, people that are coming on for the purposes of integrating. I mean, interacting. People that
Yeah.
want to be seen, people that want to be heard, people that want to ask questions. That happens in my group mentoring, and there is a charge for that. People do pay
Yeah.
to be in my group mentoring, and the conversations are beyond robust. I think it's, this is the most inexpensive thing I offer, but perhaps the greatest thing of value that I offer. Patty, you've seen so many things on my menu. I mean, my group mentoring every month, the 3 sessions I do in group mentoring are so powerful. And there is more interaction now. On a free thing, it's Sunday night, you know what I'm saying? And then people get passive. They would rather watch, but there's people, a lot more people see this than come on Zoom because they feel vulnerable, right? And they may not want to self-promote, or they may not want to seem vulnerable. They'd rather watch passively. That's okay. As long as people are watching and there's value that's getting out there. I mean, it's wonderful when I meet people or see people interact with people and they tell me that they saw my Sunday night thing and I didn't know that they did or not. Like, I don't know how many people are seeing it. But there's more interaction. There's more active participation in the paid stuff that I do. And that makes sense.
And as I'm saying is, I would encourage even the people that are wanting to chill. Even if this was a Sunday night for me, I would still make sure that I am here.
Thank you for that, Charlie. I appreciate it.
It's Monday morning for me.
Yeah.
But what I'm wanting to say, and it's maybe just saying to everyone, even if you're watching the replay, if there's any one section you want to be here, because obviously you're sitting and asking yourself questions, watching it on a replay, but you're not getting the answers and the insights that could be triggered with a question that you want to ask and a little bit more clarity. Because we here chilling, we just as well chilling, we're having a conversation, we're having fun.
It's another installment of Get a Clue in 52, tip number 44 overall, tip number 2 in the accountability section, 8:36 at night on Halloween here in the United States. And I'm going to go ahead and make a last call, comments, questions, last call. Is there any questions, anything that I can help you with specifically until we sign off for next week?
Other than thank you very much, Coach Jeff, as usual. It's always good to be here. Patty, you're on mute if you're saying something.
I'm just saying thank you always.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you.
I also would like to wish you all a happy Halloween.
Yeah, it's almost over. There's 23 minutes left in Halloween on the East Coast, and then it moves hour by hour. And it is a school night too.
Oh, okay, Coach Jeff, don't go into the time zone thing because then I get totally confused.
All right. Are there any other questions? Is there anything I can help you with specifically?
You have a great evening, Coach Jeff and Patty. Donatello, you have a great one as well.
All right, you guys. This is Get a Clue in 52, tip number 44 overall, tip number 2 in accountability. Next week, we're going to dig deep. We're going to go scuba diving on smart goal setting with an extra A, and I switched the R from the model that you might be more familiar with. So check in next week and we'll go deep diving on smart goal setting. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks to Charlie and Patty for signing on. Let's seal it with a kiss. Mwah. Love you guys. Take care.